Rach, we didn't make it to the Super Bowl or the big game, but somebody did.
Somebody did, and we get to talk to him, jagging around with
James Martin. Look, we were disappointed that the Steelers didn't make it to the big game.
Don't even talk about it.
Right,
Yeah.
but we have a really good story from the big game.
And I love the fact we actually wrote, I have to share with you, James, we wrote a blog post. We do one every day about the Jagoffs in Pittsburgh. And usually it's about driving, right? And which you can understand. But this time we wrote about, the person who was had the leotard on and ran across the field. And we said, that person was not from Pittsburgh. And if we can tell you why, no black and gold to be found, didn't stop and say, let me tell you about them Steelers. So, that was one thing we can certainly say. But our claim to fame this year is that you, who's a wonderful citizen and a wonderful representation of Beaver County, was at the Super Bowl. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Please let everyone know, what actually got you there and what that conversation was like with the one and only Jerome Bennett.
We were on our way to the high school, the Aliquippa Junior Senior High School, to film a basketball game because we started streaming their football games during the pandemic because we couldn't get nobody in the seats. Whenever basketball season came around, we were like, well, got to do it there too. So we've been doing the boys and girls basketball team ever since. And what else? I was helping out with Wounded Warrior Project. We opened up a Discord where we were able to keep veterans together during the pandemic and got real close to 2,000 veteran and family support members in there and keeping them together because although we couldn't do things face to face, we knew that between gamers, face-to-face doesn't always matter. It's just who's available, who can play together. We knew that amongst the neighborhood there were kids that didn't have what they needed or they were in a bad way, and our house has always been the fun house during the summer, and whenever we open up pool or whatever, and but during this time they needed more. They needed a place to stay, they needed somewhere to go, they needed somebody to oversee their mother doing their homework or whatever it was. So we opened up our doors to the neighborhood.
What's that whirlwind weekend like at the Super Bowl?
It's something different, and for all of our Steelers fans, and you know the feeling of a good game's gonna come or Baltimore's finna come into the city, and you can kind of sort of feel the energy and you feel the build up, and let's say it's a late game, so you've been prepping all day for it. Now imagine this is the game of games and you can feel it in the city. Like it was, the Super Bowl's in their town, yes, but it's not only just the Super Bowl, but it's their team and their home.
Yeah.
And you could feel it on Friday driving past the stadium with all the signage up. Everybody's got their Brady jersey or their, whatever jerseys that they have on, and they're just ready to rock. And every day that it got closer, you just felt it just build up. So by the time that we were in the stadium on Sunday evening and they announced them coming out of the locker room, man, it was live. It was the most energy I felt at a football game ever in my life. There was a little bit of hustle. We got there early enough in the morning where we could get to our room, settle, and try to figure out what was going to happen. And once we had to get to the filming for the NFL honors, so we have to go down to the stadium. We're hustling to get down there, and just these one-off chances of a lifetime just kept popping up. And it was like, we get to the stadium, there's a car in front of us, and because everybody has a driver, you have to wait for the first car to offload. And you see this young lady with a set of 10-inch stiletto heels and pink hair, and I'm like, I was like, oh my goodness, that's Sierra.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, oh wow. I was like, and I started tapping my wife on the shoulder. I was like, better get your camera out. She's like, wow. I was like, because her husband's here, Russell Wilson, quarterback. I'm about to be the man of the year for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's about to get out the car. I'm like, babe, get your.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep up with him, and we tried, but it didn't work. And then we go into the stadium where they're gonna put us in a green room. They're gonna wait for everybody to get there so we can go up to the ship and film. And as soon as we walk in, there's Derrick Henry and all that highlighter yellow from head to toe, like shoes match the suit. And me and Tremaine, the teacher, we just kept looking at each other. This was like the start of our running joke of, it's just a regular day. There's nothing to see here. But a few seconds later, we're walking out of the room, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the commissioner of the NFL wants to meet you." We're like, "What?" I'm sorry, sorry to say again. And you come to figure out that he's just, he's a football guy.
Yeah.
He's like a real down to earth football guy, like the guy you'd want to sit at a bar with from 1 o'clock on a Sunday till 10 o'clock at night. Then we go to we go out and we practice where we're gonna walk out on the field, and they show us the video, and it's just us in the stadium with the lights off, and we're just like in tears watching the video for the first time, and then to turn around and have to do the announcement of the award with Chris Carter out of nowhere, who's an incredible Hall of Fame wide receiver. It's just like all these. Everything just hit like one after the other, and you just sit back and like at the end of the night and you're like, did all that really happen?
Sure.
Like, was I really here for all this?
Yeah.
And, so it was, and that was just Friday, and that's the short story of all of that.
You've been able to use this to point a spotlight on your Wounded Warrior project.
So what I'm doing here is as a gaming engagement specialist is doing my best to keep Warriors united through video games, to try to find them where they are. There are people who are willing to come out of their house and go to events or sporting events or a cooking thing, but there are a certain demographic of folks where they just want to be left alone, or they want to leave their house, or they're just too scared to, or just can't deal with it, and they just play video games all the time. Well, lucky for them and lucky for me that I was, at one point one of them, and I came outside for a little while, and it's worked out well for me. But I had, my wife and my brothers in arms, my family there to support me, and some people don't have all that. So it's our mission to try to find them where they are and say, hey, look, we got you, and we'll play some games with you, and we'll tell you about the programs that are going on, and maybe one day when you decide you want to come up for air, we'll be right here to help lead you in the light.
But did you sneak a terrible towel into the stadium?
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't, and I couldn't because we couldn't wear any logos.
Oh, okay.
So because we couldn't wear any logos, I was like, okay, well, if I can't wear a logo, for those who know, when they see this gold tie, they see this black outfit, they'll know what it's about.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for what you do for Pittsburgh.
Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate y'all.
James Martin, not a jag off at all.
I appreciate that.